everybody. Welcome to the REsimpli podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Barnes. We have an awesome guest today, Brian Driscoll. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Just another beautiful day out over here in Charleston. Excited to have you on today. Excited to talk marketing. We haven't talked a lot of that today, or we haven't talked a lot of that on our podcast so far. So excited to dive deep into that. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you got going on.
All right, so I'm up here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? About me, geez, I'm 43 years old. I got a family, but I'm an investor and I do digital marketing. So I got into investing. Do you know Ron LeGrand?
I do, yeah.
All right, so I got into investing back in like 1998, I think it was. My dad took me to a seminar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like 18 years old. Sitting in the room, they got me in the back of the room, pulled out my credit card, paid $1,800 for a course, which is a ton of cash for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I got into real estate and I failed, like crazy failed. I got a whole bunch of people calling me from our newspaper ads, and I didn't know what to do with them. So it just didn't work out, right? So then probably about 2002, I got into digital marketing. I started doing SEO, and I got involved with a platform called Odesk, which now is Upwork. And I was just consulting for people and doing SEO for them. I started like $20 an hour. And then I started getting really busy, so I kept raising my rate. And I ended up getting pretty good at it and had like larger clients. I was billing like $150, $200 an hour for like national e-commerce and things like that. And that turned into starting an agency. It was a general agency, like e-commerce and lead gen for all different types of businesses. Well, I got back into real estate probably about 10 years ago and bought my first property. And I saw the wholesale fee. I'm like, geez, man, this is crazy. Which the deal still made sense with that fee. So the wholesale fees are all right. I'm just wondering, I was thinking with my skill set, I wonder if I could stick up a website and generate my own leads. So I stuck up a website, threw some traffic to it, and we crushed it, right? So I got with my now business partner, but he was my buddy, Chad Keller. We're like, hey, dude, let's see if we can do something here. We both stuck like $1,000 into ad spend, built a landing page, and started trying to generate leads for motivated leads, which is the agency we started. And we started getting investors that wanted to sign up, and it turned into a full-blown agency. And we pivoted both of our agencies. We pivoted to motivated leads, and that's what we do today.
That's super cool. So you got in this space real early with your dad bringing you to a seminar. Now, was your dad in real estate prior, or was it both you guys like brand new into it?
Yeah, my dad, he dabbles. Like he has a couple properties. He just does it on the side. It's totally passive. He's got about 4 properties there, and but he's always been intrigued with real estate too. And I'm like, I was in the car listening, like I remember when I was younger, I'm listening to Tony Robbins, falling asleep, and Zig Ziglar, he was always listening to this on the cassette tapes. So I got introduced to that kind of stuff at a young age.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I hope that my kids pay attention to all the stuff that I listen to and do, because they do understand house flipping now at 4 and 7. Like we'll go look at one like, Daddy, is this a house that you're going to renovate and sell? Yeah. So I think it's super cool. But you got into the digital space. And so when you say you were just general SEO for anybody that would hire you?
Yeah, when I started, it was just anyone who would have hired me. Like I had a jewelry client. We had t-shirt businesses, auto garages, HVAC. Like SEO is just ranking the search engine. So I wasn't really niche specific, right?
Gotcha.
So it's just basically anybody, you know.
How hard was it learning different? Was it difficult kind of going from niche to niche, bouncing around, or? No,
SEO it's not necessarily like that, because SEO is more keyword driven. So as long as you find out, okay, what are the specific phrases that people are searching to find this type of business, then you're optimizing all the sites similar ways. It's just, you have to tweak each one to the industry.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you did that for, sounds like maybe 10 years, kind of you built your agency kind of throughout, and then you started generating leads for yourself, just kind of see what happened. And then y'all built your company that you have now.
Yeah. And you know what? And just interrupt you too. When we were generating leads for ourselves, I was getting leads all over Pittsburgh, and I only buy in one zip code. So I couldn't do anything with them. So what I did is I went onto the Facebook group in Pittsburgh. Like, hey guys, does anyone here want leads? And we'll do a JV split. And I got a couple guys that came in and it didn't work out, but then I found one guy, his name was Dustin, and I just started sending him leads, and it worked out really well on that side too. So that happened actually right at the early stages of motivated leads, trying to prove the model.
Gotcha. And so I've heard that model still works to this day, where people are good at generating leads, but they don't like sales. and they partner with somebody who likes sales that doesn't like to motivate or generate leads. And it works out really well for both of them.
As long as they have a good CRM.
Correct. Yeah. And so obviously we're on the REsimpli podcast, so we can be there for that. So you built your agency now, and you started kind of testing it. Were you doing it nationally at that point? Was it just specific to Pittsburgh? Like, how did you kind of start to grow it?
Yeah, we just started specific to Pittsburgh. Actually, just in our county, which is Allegheny County.
Okay.
And then when we brought on a client, we would target their areas for them.
Gotcha.
So it's all custom on that side.
Cool. So you were able to reverse it and say, all right, somebody's going to like, say Charleston. Hey, we got a client in Charleston. Now let's start kind of going there.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha. How many leads are you generating now on a month, just roughly?
Oh man, I figure, I don't know, like 500 to 1,000 a day. So whatever that equals in a month.
That's cool. That's really neat. And are you pretty much across the entire country now?
Yeah, we're in most major metros. So the way
Yeah.
it works is we'll bring on a client. So we do pay per lead now. We originally started doing custom marketing, which we still do, but on the pay per lead side, we'll market, and it's constantly changing because people pause and unpause. But
Yeah.
we'll only market in counties that we have clients in. So it's pretty much the major metros. But there's still a lot of the country we don't market to.
Gotcha. And so explain to the audience, if they don't know what pay per lead is, exactly what that means.
Sure. Pay per leads, we do digital marketing. So there's two different ways to market your business online, right? You can hire an agency to do custom marketing, where you pay someone a monthly fee to run your Google ads or Facebook ads, and then you pay the ad spend on top. Well, I found there's two types of investors. There's investors that care about brand and want to do that way. And then a lot of investors say, hey, I just want leads. I'm not trying to build a brand. So we came up with a program. It's pay per lead. There's no monthly fee, no commitments. You literally tell us which counties you want leads. We'll market on our dime in those areas, send them through our website. When we get a lead in your area, we send it to you in real time. So they fill out a form on our site. We text you and email you within like 2 seconds. So this person's waiting for a phone call. So, and you're just paying per lead. It might cost $300 per lead versus spending $1,500 a month plus ad spending. You don't know what you're just trying to get the most leads you can, but you don't know what the actual cost per lead is going to be.
Yeah. And what's cool about those are like, you truly can get a deal from the first lead.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, but I'm
Right.
saying that's that type of, I mean, it's just any marketing, but it's really cool. Like, you can turn it on and get a deal from the first one, or not get a deal for the first 10, maybe. I mean, it all depends on how competitive, how good you are at sales, things like that. But it's, I remember when I turned on pay per lead the first time, I think we got super lucky and got like 2 deals out of our first 6.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But they would come in. The first one we got was like July 4th. Nobody was answering the phone. Nobody's doing anything. And this guy just happened to be in town, handling his mother's estate on July 4th. And I remember I was sitting in my hotel room and the lead came through, and I told my wife, I was like, all right, I got to go. We got a phone call and it's a hot lead. So the people pay the money, they get the lead. What qualifications determine a lead for you guys?
So that's a good question too, because a lot of people just say name, address, phone number, email, done. That's a lead. I'm looking more like, I want to know like why they want to sell, how fast they want to sell, how much work their property needs. Is it owner occupied, vacant? Confirm it's not listed on the market. We're putting them through multi-forms or multi-steps to try to increase the quality of the lead. So I look at it like, say we run an ad, we send them to a website. The website, in my opinion, is like the disqualifier. We try to make everything really direct. So it's like, sell your house fast. We buy houses where investors, we're not paying top dollar, but if you're interested, fill out a form. So we want the people that aren't serious to drop out right then. Then we ask them name, phone number, email, address. So now we capture their information, but we don't consider that a lead yet until they fill out the next questions as well. Like I was just saying, like how fast, how much work, things like that. Once that's done, press the submit button. That's a lead, sends to whoever's in that area in real time. And then, like you were saying, you just got to drop what you're doing. The lead comes in, speed is key. You have to drop what you're doing, call them, and try to make it work.
You do. Yeah, it's not one. It's not a lead. You're like, oh, I just got a lead. Let me put it down. I'm doing something. You see that because if they're on the internet, for those of you that may not run SEO or PPC, if they're on the internet Googling something to sell my house, they're just going to go to the person who answers their phone.
Yep.
And so you have to just drop what you're doing, make the phone call, and kind of have a little bit of imperfect action, because you're going to starting the conversation. I don't know how much information you guys provide. It can kind of fumble through the first couple conversations, so you get used to it.
Yeah, and what I see too that works really well, like a lot of guys, especially newer guys, get caught up on price when they're talking with sellers. They'll call them up and they try to get into price right initially.
Yeah.
Online leads, I found, so we ask you some of the information, like how much repairs, things like that, but find out what their problem is. Everyone calling has a problem. It's like, okay, and they're gonna lie to you normally when you try to find out the first time, and you just have to keep probing. It's like, why do you want to sell? Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you listing on the MLS? Like, and then they're gonna tell you. And then once you dive into it, then you just need to think creatively. How can I help them solve the problem? If you can figure that out, you make money, they win, and it's a win-win. You know what I mean? Versus just trying to get properties under your belt all day.
Was it buyers are liars, sellers are worse? Is that the saying? Is that how it goes? Yeah, they'll tell you anything they can. One question I've always had is somebody who has used a pay-per lead service. Obviously, there's no branding. So my company, we live by our brand in Charleston. Like I have a cartoon picture of me on all of our vehicles, on our trailer. Like everybody knows who I am. But for these leads, I can't say, hey, I'm the Charleston house guy or something like that. How do you best? You just go straight into them in their house, and instead of worrying about a company and all that kind of stuff? Or
yeah, normally we'll just go into it and say, hey, you just filled out a form on one of our sites.
Okay.
And if you call them immediately, there's no disconnect. Like they literally just filled out a form and you're calling, so it makes sense. Our brands are generic anyways, like USA cash offer, things like that. So it's not like it's a name that they're going to remember.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just like, hey, you just filled out a form on one of our sites. Just calling is now a good time.
Gotcha. So that's simple, because I know I've talked to some people and they get caught up and like, well, what company? And I'm like, I don't think it's that hard. I think it's just you call them. Hey, I just saw you filled out a form. Just want to connect with you about 123 Main Street and kind of see how things are going. So
right. And you figure too, you think about the sellers. If it's a motivated seller, they fill out a form. They're not concerned on the brand. They're concerned, hey, are you local? Are you going to really buy my house? Yeah. And are you trustworthy and reliable? You know, like, can you actually do it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. Can you perform? Are you real? They're not going to worry about any of that other stuff. So,
right.
That's really cool. I think that space, that SEO online space is really neat. Well, cool. So yeah, so you talk to the lead, you get to them, just make it really quick. What is it? How much do you see you have to follow up with these leads once you kind of get them?
So here's what I see. Out of 10 leads, realistically, 6 of them are going to want too much money or are not going to be a fit. So it does make sense if you have other disposition methods other than just wholesaling and flipping. I know a lot of guys have success with novations, or if you're an agent, you can give them a top dollar offer and a cash offer and just list it if it's too much. So 6 of them expect that. 6 are going to want too much money. They're just not going to be a fit. 4 of them end up being deals you'd want. Usually lock down one of those, right?
Yeah.
What was the question you just asked again? Because that was
like, how often do you have to follow up? Do you see like even these super motivated leads coming from the website? Like, are these something that you're building long-term follow-up with, or they're usually making stuff pretty quick?
Yeah. So the 1 out of 10 is going to be not needing long-term follow-up usually.
Got it.
The other 9, well, it depends if you have the dispo message for the 6 or not, but the other 9, you're going to want to follow up. I just talked with a buddy of mine. It's April right now. He just closed a deal he had coming in October last year. Like the lead came in October. So you want to follow up with these guys. I think on average, you'd probably know better than me, Brandon, but I think it's like 8 to 13 touches on a lead to actually convert. So if you don't have good follow-ups, things like that through text and email, which REsimpli can handle, but that's so important because all you're doing is if you're not following up with your people, you're following up for a couple of days, you're losing a ton of money on the back end.
Yeah. I've heard people talk about how much they follow up with somebody like the first week as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's preference on how your systems are built. I know I would hit them a couple times in the first day. So here's what I do, and here's what I found, and this may help people also. So I'm a marketer by trade, and I just happen to invest, right? I got like 20-something properties. I'm not like these guys doing 100 deals a year.
Yeah.
But what I've found is when a lead comes in on our site, we shoot an automatic text message immediately out to them, even if it's 3 a.m, saying, thanks for filling out a form on our site. Here's a link to our calendar to book a time for an appointment for us to come give you an offer. So I word it that way. I want them knowing we're coming to your house. I do that for two reasons. Number one, I want to gauge their motivation. Who's booking an appointment with a stranger to come to their house without talking to anyone, right?
Yeah.
And number two, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut that follow-up out, because like you were saying earlier, if someone's on Google filling out forms, they go to the first one, then second one, then third one, they're filling everyone out. I want to pull them away from that, get them to book an appointment. So now they feel like they've accomplished what they needed, and they quit filling out the competition. So what happens though, so we book that solves that one problem initially. So it'll save you on some of the follow-up. The other people though, you might have not called them quick enough, and they hooked up with another investor that's maybe a little greener.
Yeah.
But definitely follow up with them at number one 30 days later with a message like, hey, just following up. I know you wanted to sell your house. Well, actually, I guess this is a different follow-up. This would be one that you did talk with and they went with another investor. Follow up in 30 days to see if it closed.
Yep.
A lot of times those fall out. But follow-up's key. Like I'd hit them a couple times in the first day and just gradually get longer spaces between them, because you don't want to be spamming people.
Correct.
But that first day is crucial.
Gotcha. And that's what I remember when I first started, I wasn't super aggressive in the first day. I was just kind of like, hey, I'd give them a call and they didn't answer, and then just kind of go off on my day. And then I talked to people who were having much more success. I'm like, yeah, we'll call somebody or text or email, and I consider all forms of their contact, email, text, phone call. He's like, well, we might hit them up 6 or 7 times in the day.
Yeah.
And then kind of taper off from there.
Yeah. And you know what else too? That's a good point, because some people like phone calls, some people like text. Like you're going to get me on text message, but I'm not going to answer the phone and talk with you.
Same.
But if you get me on a text message, we'll talk for whatever. We can lock down a deal without talking.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the person. So if you give them all the different avenues to communicate with you versus just calling or versus just texting, send all the messages, call, text, and email. You'll have a higher likelihood of connecting with people.
I agree. And the funny you say that, connect with text. I've had somebody try to call me this weekend while I was out of town. I didn't answer any of it, and they never left a voicemail. They never sent a text. And then finally yesterday, we were having our business meeting and a text popped through, and I was like, hey, I'm looking to I want to talk to you about selling my house at such and such street in Johns Island. And immediately I sent him a text right back, and it didn't work out, but it went from me not answering my phone because I couldn't and I wasn't going to that weekend, to all of a sudden he sent me a text, and it was a wholesaler, but it just shows, like, had that text happen, if I was that type of seller, then you would have communicated with him sooner.
Right. And a lot of sellers online, at least in the digital space, some of them are just looking. They just typed in sell my house fast. Like they don't even know investors are out here. So they're just in the early stages. And that brings up something different too, because there's different types of leads, and all marketing channels are good if done consistently. So I just happen to do digital, but say like phone calls from mailers need handled a little differently than digital leads or SMS leads or cold call, things like that. So you'll want to think about the experience of how you connected with that, or how they're connecting with you.
Yep. And so do you do any other types of marketing, or you just live in the digital space only?
Just digital. I used to do mailers, but the digital was the cost per lead and cost per deal was cheaper.
It is, especially if you have the skill set that you have versus skills. So
I know a lot of investors I talk to have a really good return on SMS. It's kind of risky. It's a riskier play.
Yeah.
And it's like you're trading sweat or you're trading money.
Correct.
So you can do SMS and manage it. You might get a cost per deal like $1,000,
yeah.
But you got to manage overseas, and then you're risking like calling someone on a do not call list or texting them, I guess.
Yeah, it's not fun. I have when we text, I definitely went through a couple instances with, I don't remember what government entity we got the letters from, but we definitely got 2 or 3 letters, and then I got a couple
from any government entity.
Yeah, no, and it was funny. I called the lady. I got the letter in the mail, and I called her, and it wasn't even from a text. It was from a postcard, and I was like, somebody had filed a complaint, and I guess it could have had some legal issues down the road. And so we talked, and everything was resolved. But then I asked her, I said, do people really get upset about a postcard coming to their house? And she's like, you have no idea. People call about Papa John's, people call about Home Depot, like all the little coupons that you get in the mail. Like And she's like, that's just what I do every day. I just listen to these people complain about mail that they can just throw in their trash can.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? When I used to do yellow letters, right?
Okay.
And I had the sheriff of one borough call me up. He's like, hey, this lady says you're harassing her. I'm like, dude, it's junk mail. Pitch it. And some people will send you a letter back. I don't know if you got those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like
they'll get pretty creative too. I've had them cut letters up. I've had them write stuff on it, write funny stuff on the front. No, we've definitely gotten some back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But mailers work too. It's just everything's gonna work. You just gotta, especially like the new guys too. Just if you're gonna do something, do it consistently. Like give it 6 months. Don't send one thing of mailers.
And answer this.
Yeah, and answer your phone. Yeah, but when your phone rings, answer it. That's money.
Yeah, it is. We actually have my wife and I talked about it. I have a special ringer that rings and it stays on at all times for our lead source. And when that ringer comes in, everybody in our family knows that means money. So, and I'm pretty diligent on like hanging out with my kids and my wife, and we have times that we disconnect, but when that one special ringer comes on, that phone call is something that has to be taken at all times. And so, because we've learned like we want to live the life that we want to live. And so there's days when I won't do anything all day that involves in real estate. And some days I do. And so I'm okay taking a phone call at 7 o'clock at night, a couple times a week, if that's what happens.
Right. Yep.
Because when they want to sell their house, they want to sell their house now. They don't necessarily want to wait and go to the next person.
Exactly.
So I want to hear a little bit about investing. You only buy in one zip code.
Yeah, just zip code I live in.
So why is it, do you manage your own stuff? Like, why is it so specific?
No, I managed it when I started and that sucked.
Okay. Terrible.
Yeah, no, I have 2 different property managers. It's because I don't want to drive. It's like, I'm so busy during the day. I don't have time to drive more than 5 minutes to look at a property and then managing the crew things, which I have project managers now whenever we rehab. I just don't have time to drive there. It's just like 10, 15 minutes there. Then you're talking with someone for a half an hour. Then you're back. It's a whole hour wasted. Not wasted. Yeah. If you got to do 10 deals, like 10 leads to get a deal, there's 10 hours right there. I bought a property in a really nice neighborhood by me, and it was about a 25-minute drive. And I'm like, dude, every time I go there, and I was managing the crew myself that time. I'm like, I'm going here 3 times a week, sucking up all my time. So ever since then, I never bought a property, and I will not buy properties outside of my area for now while I'm focused on motivated leads, because it's like I got to be so structured and disciplined on time.
That's awesome. I think that's super cool, and it makes your buy box and decision making very simple. Is it in such and such zip code? No. All right. Well, it's I'll either send it off somewhere else or refer it out or do something else with that.
Yeah, and it is nice. You're right, because I can pretty much just buy sight unseen a lot of times just with pictures. Like, even if I don't have time to get there, I'll just send my guy, be like, hey, check it out. What do you think? And just because I know the market so well here, but you can't scale something like this. Like most investors, you got to be doing a whole city or bigger.
You don't have to scale it. To own. I talked about it with a buy and hold investor on our last episode. To own 20 homes, if you pay those homes off in 15, 20, 25 years, whatever mortgages you put on them, you don't have to work again the rest of your life. Essentially, it's a slow grow to it, but I like to look at buy and holds as like little savings accounts. And we own a house, a 5-minute walk from my house. And then we flipped one, maybe an 8-minute walk from my house. And I'd say those are 2 of my favorite deals because it was easy to check on them. They were right close to our house. And those were really nice, not having to get in a car and drive 30, 45 minutes, traffic, dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah, and you're right too, because I own a little over 20 properties as well, and in 15, 20 years when they're paid off, that's crazy passive income coming in.
Correct.
And also, like you look at too with some investors, I don't know if anyone's interested in this, but you got 2 different ways of investing. I look at on the buy and hold. You got cash flow, heavy cash flow, usually CD neighborhoods, more like ghettos. And then you got like neighborhoods I invest in, they have cash flow. You still always want positive cash flow, but they don't have as much. But I buy a property for say 100 grand, put 30 into it, it appraises at 230. So I got crazy equity on that side. Versus I can buy properties in Pittsburgh for like 60 grand. Yeah. They'll split off like $1,200 a month rent, but in 20 years that's still worth 60 grand.
Yeah, the value of the home doesn't change much.
Yeah, you're getting your money every month in the cash flow versus. So there's different approaches to each their own. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and sometimes your portfolios evolve. You know, sometimes when you first get started, it is buying that $60,000 house to get cash flow, to get your first one. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, you maybe pay it off or pay 2 or 3 of them off. And it's like, all right, now I'm going to go buy a little bit nicer asset. Cash flow is a little bit less, but I'm in a better area now. In your area, and you know, areas like that cash flow a little bit less, you also can get lucky and get a little bit of appreciation as well. So, you know, these same properties you own for 15 or 20 years, not only have you cash flowed for 15, 20 years, somebody's paid off your mortgage, hopefully they've all gone up in value as well. So your net worth and whatnot has changed.
yeah, they'll probably double. And I look at it too, because I do the Burr method now. Like I couldn't do it initially. I had to take a loan and put 20% down. But now I'll buy it cash, put the money into it, and I get all my money back. Like literally all my money back. So it's like you're getting free houses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's when you can get to that point, I mean, it makes everything a whole lot better. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. So if I was a brand new investor, you know, I'm just kind of getting started, where would you recommend somebody to kind of start with their marketing?
If you were brand new, I would start with driving for dollars.
Okay.
Probably doing door hangers and just hustling. I'd probably talk with some agents and just see if you can get any pocket listings. But if you're trying to wholesale, that's tougher because they're looking for the cash buyers. But yeah, I would mainly drive for dollars, use some of the softwares out there like Deal Machine, things like that. And then the door hangers and just try to get in front of as many people. Also, Facebook groups are really good. Get involved in some of the Facebook groups. Say, hey, you know what? I'm looking to buy properties in wherever. People will hit you up, you know, and that's free.
They do. And surprisingly, they do it. The more consistent you are, people do reach out. I love my door hangers. I take them. I still, we've been doing this 7 years. I can see my case of door hangers sitting right here in my office. And what we do is we do family bike rides. And we'll take them and I'll hook them on everybody's bikes so that we have enough. And my kids will go up, and we're in areas where I'm completely comfortable with them doing it. But we'll ride around and put 10, 15, 20 door hangers on. And a lot of times, you know, a lot of people just call us back and tell us not to do it again. But we have gotten them from it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what I would say for starting out, just because, and people just starting out too, the biggest things, I talked to some new investors, just do it.
Yeah.
All these guys are like, oh, I can't get it doing the X. I got to make a website. I got to get a logo. No one cares about your logo. You know what I mean? Just go out and start talking to people and find the deals, and then worry about building a brand, things like that. Because a lot of people get tied up and, oh, I got to make a brand. I need to set up an LLC, all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, go find a house.
Yeah.
Once you find a house, then you have a problem that you need to figure out how to do it. But you don't need the LLC to start doing that.
You don't, no. And especially your first couple deals, you can do them in your actual name. I mean, right. It's not like it's the end of the world. I remember the first couple years my wife and I had our business, people couldn't even say our business name. Like, we didn't think through it. And I would talk to owners and they'd be like, I have trouble even saying it. B&M Homes, Brandon and Maggie Homes. And to us, it was great. It was our initials. Nobody could say it. It didn't affect us buying any homes. And then once we got some traction and made some money, that's when we created our brand that we have now. And that's been a nice stepping stone to kind of go off of.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up there too, because a lot of people try to make, if you think about this from a seller side, they're looking for the local guy down the road that wants to buy their house. A lot of people I see try to create a brand that looks like a bank. Yeah. It's really corporate too. And it's like, if a seller sees that, like, what do you think? The bank's going to come in and pound you. They're looking for Joe down the road that buys houses. That's a normal guy that's going to come up and fix it up and flip it and just do his thing. So when you're coming up with a brand like that too, you're like, keep it simple.
It is. Yeah. And it's, you know, again, we wanted to invest just where we live, you know, out within the Tri-County area where we live. So I was like, I don't need anything that's need to go to another state or make us sound giant. I want to sound like the guy, when you call me, I'm going to show up at your front door. And that's exactly what we do. And it's like, I'll have people in the gym, hey, you're the guy with the wrapped truck, or I'll go to get my oil changed. And now it's starting to kind of build and compound off of it. And then we added digital marketing on top. And so then everybody started putting two and two together.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything does kind of work well together too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Once you can send a little bit of mail and do that kind of stuff, I think all avenues, really kind of build off of each other.
100%.
Do you do any PPC?
Yeah, we do. We're heavy in pay-per-click and also on Facebook.
Okay. You do. Okay. I don't know anything about Facebook. So let's talk about that first. So you guys do like custom Facebook for other investors?
We do. If you're not doing Facebook right now, you need to be, especially with your brand. Do you have a Facebook pixel on your website at least?
I would say I do, yes. We don't do any. I hired an SEO company. They rebuilt my website maybe a month ago. I think we just kind of finished all of that whole thing. So I think, but I'm not.
All right, here, I'll tell you why. So especially you, because you're doing a lot of branding, right? Like you're doing.
Yeah, we spend. I legitimately spend $0 in marketing until we just hired this SEO company, and we'll probably do 25 flips this year, all based on our brand.
Right, and that's huge. So here's how it works in a nutshell, without getting too far into the weeds. Okay. Facebook has something called a Facebook pixel.
Yep.
Google also has a tag, and what that is, that's code you put on your website. So when you go onto a website looking at a pair of shoes and it's following you around everywhere, that's because of their tracking. So if in this situation, you put the Facebook pixel on your website and then you set up a retargeting campaign, anyone who comes to your website, you now live in their Facebook feed. So you can have testimonial videos sitting there for like $5 a day, like super cheap marketing, but you can stay in front of these people that aren't ready yet. So Facebook works really well on a retargeting side. And it also works. Facebook can work well and it can suck. Depends on how you run it. So if you're running Facebook ads, you need to run an ad. They click it and it goes to your website that has to have like multi-step forms to kind of vet the people, and you'll get a good quality lead there. You might spend a couple $100. Facebook also has something called lead forms, where someone clicks an ad inside of Facebook. It'll auto populate your info that Facebook has and then call that a lead. You might get a lead for $20, but those suck. Like we've found it might take you you might as well telemarket for the Facebook lead forms. The quality's just not there.
Okay, I have heard of those. Okay.
Yeah. So but if you're doing any marketing, anyone that's doing any marketing, because what's going to happen is they get a mailer and they see your thing and they Google you, they come to your website, and then they don't do anything. You need to stay in front of them because the buying cycle's not there yet. Like they're just still research mode. But then what you can do is you can strategically put things in front of them. Like for the first 30 days, we're going to put a testimonial video in front of them, like 3 testimonials. Next 30 days, we're going to do something else and strategically put things there to build that credibility while they're in the info stage and staying in front of them until they're ready to pull the trigger.
So can you funnel them through? Let's say they go to my website, Facebook retargets them. They see my testimonial video on my Facebook. Let's say the testimonial video is 1 minute, and they watch 70% of the video. Can you then say, all right, people who've watched X amount of the video now get a second, like a different layer, or?
Yep. Yeah, you can do multiple things. So you can do, you can build audiences in Facebook based on a lot of different things. So you can build it on people that come to your website, people that watch like 50% of your video or 70% of your video, people that called, people that filled out a form, and then you get to segment them. So you can set up, in your example here, maybe we'd set up a campaign for 50%, people that watch 50% or more, or 75% or more of my testimonial video but don't fill out a form. We want to show them the next video. And then once they cross that 75% threshold, they would now get the next video, and you can take them down a funnel on Facebook. And Instagram. It would be Facebook and Instagram.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't do. I've always been like archaic with technology. I can do a bunch of, and so it's always Facebook. For some reason, has always intimidated me. Facebook, pay-per-click, SEO. I conceptually understand how they work and how to do it, but then to go look at the site and go to the back end, it's always been fairly overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a little like Facebook makes it complicated too, because there's like you have to verify your domain, you have to get a pixel set up, create a business manager. Like there's a lot of steps, especially if you're not tech savvy, to do it. But retargeting is going to be your cheapest cost per lead out of any channel you have. Because you're only showing ads to people that have been on your website already.
Cool. So we may have to talk about that offline then, because it's something I think the way I build my business, and we talk a little bit about it and how everybody builds them differently. My goal is in 2 or 3 years to just have everybody just calling me. They know who I am. They've seen my testimonials, my videos, and the conversation's much easier because I don't like talking to a bunch of cold leads and going through this really difficult sales process. I'm more just, hey, we saw your video. We saw that you've bought a couple homes in our neighborhood, or we've done X. We see your truck all over the place. We want to sell our home here. And then we can offer them the options that we can provide to them.
Right. Do you get a lot of calls from the wrap truck?
I do.
Do you?
I do. And the calls I get from my truck are very urgent.
Okay.
They are. They're like, hey, my listing just fell through. My client's house is going through foreclosure. They have 15 days. Can you close now? Type thing. Like generally, I don't get a lot of tire kickers from my truck. Those people will come up to my window. Like I'll be at a gas station and, hey, I have a bunch of ideas, or I'd love to pick your brain. Like those are more face to face. But when my truck calls come, those are generally a fairly urgent lead, honestly.
How much does it cost to wrap a truck?
So I have a 4-door F-150, and I did what's called a partial wrap. So they didn't color change it, but my whole truck is wrapped, but still you can see portions of the color. And I think I paid like $1,300 or $1,400.
That's cheap. I think it was an attorney marketing that did this before. They got with Uber drivers and said, hey, we'll pay your car payment if we can wrap.
That's big.
Yeah, you figure, okay, you spend $1,300 and you pay what's car payment, $400 or $500 a month.
Yeah.
And they're driving around all day long.
Yep. I tell anybody, I was like, I will wrap anybody's vehicle in Charleston they want me to, and I will give them a specific number. I'll go to REsimpli, give them their own number, and I have a friend in Kansas City who does it. He just does stickers. He doesn't wrap. But yeah, no, we have one right now. I just bought it last month. The true net projected profit on it's like $95,000. And the guy called me and I was pulling my truck and trailer. So I had a 16-foot trailer and my truck. And he's like, you guys it looked professional. I've inherited some money. I don't want to deal with him and his son had a bad relationship. And he's like, I don't want to deal with kicking my son out. He's like, I owe 105. If you'll pay me 110, it's yours. House is worth 330. And I was like, it just came in, but it came from our truck. I didn't track it all in the beginning. I can probably say that we've done close to $200,000+ in profit from my wrapped vehicles.
Yeah, that's worth it. I think people should do that. I don't see any wrapped vehicles around here in Pittsburgh.
There's a few. I've seen some trailers, but I don't see too many cars. And you get a couple. My wife has gotten some phone calls about cutting people off driving, but surprisingly, it's not as many as you would think it would be. To me, it was a no-brainer. We did our first deal. I used to have a little sticker on the back of my truck that said I buy houses cash, and we did like a $45,000 assignment from that sticker. So obviously, it paid for itself multiple times over. Right. And then when we changed our name, I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, you have to send me a picture. Check it out.
Yeah, I do. I'll send you one and show you what it looks like.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I definitely love to learn more about the Facebook stuff because I think, retargeting is so key with everything. I didn't even think about taking them from our website to Facebook and following them there.
You know what? You need to be doing Google pay-per-click too.
And I have been burnt in pay-per-click.
Well, here's why I say that. So I don't mean you need to do broad, but if you're doing what you're doing, you have to put a small campaign for your name. Because what's happening is these grandmas are seeing it. They go to Google, they type it in, and they think that first ad
is me.
So your competitors are stealing your traffic. Anyone doing mail or like billboards or like even like the cars like you're doing.
Yeah.
Just stick up a campaign for like, I don't know, $10 a day or something. And bid on the different variations of your name. Don't even go for the target, like the broad keywords that are expensive. Just at least control your brand.
I didn't even think about that because if somebody were to Google Charleston House Guy, they're going to get PPC leads at the top, and then we'll come below that.
And they're going to call that lead. the first, whoever they click up, they're thinking it's you.
Yeah.
You know, so they're thinking they're they're trying to get a hold of you, and you're just not there. So yeah, I'd recommend at least do those. And those are cheap. They're not super expensive. Like, it's not like building out a full blown campaign. You have to have a ton of ad spend.
Yeah, I've been, PPC and me have a sensitive or a sore subject with each other. So
yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive. It's, everybody does it a little bit different, and it's just like the pay per leads that you were talking about. It's super time sensitive. But the problem is, like with the pay per leads, at least if you get a bozo lead, meaning they don't own the property or something like that, you know, your company is going to give them some kind of refund. Where pay per click, you just lost a couple $100. Like there's no getting around that.
Yeah, pay per lead makes sense for people with larger ad spend budgets. Pay per lead, like I'm talking larger, like 10, 20 grand a month or over. Pay per lead makes sense for most investors because the risk isn't there.
Yeah.
You know, like you're talking about, because you doing pay per click campaign wrong, some clicks might be $100, and if it takes you 10, 20 clicks to get a lead, like your lead cost is really expensive, and then it could be someone looking for find out how much your house is worth.
Correct.
Or something, just a bozo lead, you know?
Correct. Now the last pay-per-click company that we used, I remember we set up an Excel sheet and we went through and we would put every lead, I put all the information in and talk to them. And it took us like 2.5, 3 months to get our first deal from it. We finally did get a deal from it, and we did well on the deal, but that was it. Like nothing else came after, nothing else. And even because I was like, this is the perfect lead. You know, obviously you could see what keywords they or what they Googled and some other stuff. But I know people who just crush pay-per-click. That's all they do. They do very well with it. I know Google's constantly changing. And so it's something you have to, you know, either understand yourself or hire an agency to stay on top of it constantly.
Right.
Because if you just set it and forget it, it will burn that credit card and not think twice about it.
Google's job is to make the most money for their company.
Correct.
Yeah, and the thing with Google that's really that a lot of people don't understand and why you can spend a lot of money, Google doesn't know the difference between a motivated seller and someone who wants to sell their house.
Correct.
So their recommendations when you're running a campaign, if you click that apply recommendations, they're adding keywords in there like sell your house, which isn't going to get you the right audience. We need keywords like sell your house fast, sell it for cash.
Yeah.
It's really fine line there on getting MLS leads versus investor leads.
And I liked what you talked about, to go back a little bit, having that kind of 3 steps of your website disqualifying the lead. You know, because it's like, hey, you've clicked on it, we've got some information, then we've got your name, phone number, email, which if you capture on your website is great in general. But then it's that 3rd step. Hey, we are not going to pay you retail. We're not going to do these things. Are you still interested? How fast are you selling? Because you know, hopefully that deters people from tire kicking and wasting a bunch of time as well.
Yeah, here's another tip for you too that can help even qualify them and educate the consumer. On your thank you page, after they fill out a form, number 1, have a book a call, like same thing for the calendar. But then underneath that too, make a video. Say, hey, you know what? Thanks for filling out a form on our site. Here's what to expect, and lay it out. It's like, hey, someone's going to be calling you. The first call is to whatever, find out about your information. If everything looks like a good fit, we're going to set up a time to come to your house. Like, educate them, because it pulls their guard down. They know that first phone call, you're not going to be trying to hardball them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So things like that too, the whole experience, the whole way through, that's a pretty good tip on that side, because that people can implement. It's just break it down for people, so that, because you figure sellers dealing with problems, and they're just trying not to get ripped off.
Yep.
So just educate them as much as you can.
I think we do that on our website, similar as like, hey, here's our 4-step process. You know, you fill out the form. I don't know if it's on our thank you page, but it's like, hey, you fill out the form, I'm going to call you, which we're very specific that I am the person who's going to reach out to you. Then we're going to come to your house. We're going to make you no obligation offer, and then kind of, you know, go through that process. But
what are you going to do when you want to scale?
I don't want to scale.
No.
My wife has a really successful staging business and Airbnb installation business.
Oh, nice.
So we have her business, and then flipping. I like to be the opposite. I would like to buying one zip code and have a handful of homes a year versus doing it. We talked about it in a minute when I had that brain fart, but truly what I love doing, I like the health and fitness side of the world, but I like doing crazy races. So I did my Nashville Marathon. I'm doing a thing called Hell in the Hill next month, which is the hilliest half marathon. So that's, so real estate affords me the ability to do those kind of things. But
what's a marathon? That's like 26.8 or something, or
26.2.
That's a lot of running.
It is. Yeah. My left calf still is I'm paying for that there, but
you get shin splints?
All of them. I got shin splints, calves, hamstring. So I was telling my trainer this morning, my first step in the marathon, I took a step and my right calf just like nodded just a little bit. And we, in my like little group that I'm in that we do this stuff, the question isn't, will there be pain? It's just how soon will the pain come? And you just kind of get I was like, well, we're hello at mile or at first step. So
yeah, good for you, man. No, just for doing it. That's some hard stuff. I
appreciate it. But yeah, I did like some hedge fund stuff. I've seen scale. It doesn't interest me at all. I don't, I want to hang out with my kids, play golf and run races. So
cool.
That's what it is. But it's, so I that's why I loved kind of like the brand we built.
Nice.
But, well, cool deal, man. Well, I've had a blast chatting with you. So we do have this little thing that we do at the end. We ask for the 4 pillars of REsimpli, which are sales, marketing, data, and ops. And we want to kind of get your one thing. If you could just do one thing in those 4 categories, what would be your advice to a fellow investor? So
to pick one of the 4 categories.
No. I'm going to ask you one thing for each category. So
let's do it.
So for marketing, what would be your one piece of advice for marketing? Let's say a newer type investor.
Start doing it.
Start doing it.
Yeah. Don't think about it. Start doing it and start doing it really. If you can't afford it, do something real small. Like go buy door hangers. You can buy like 250 door hangers for maybe $100. Go start really small and just do it. Like that's my number one advice. Get out there and take action.
Love it. How about sales?
Sales, listen, talk 20% of the time, let them talk 80% of the time and try to find their problems and care. Like give a crap about the person.
I love that. Care about it. Yeah. And then how about data? What kind of data do you like to see and understand in your business or recommend to other people?
All of it. Like take the data. What I would say, if you're starting out and you're an investor, track your KPIs intensely. And what I would do is track your KPIs back to the time that the lead came in. So a lot of investors will say, hey, you know what? It's April. I just had a huge month, and they count that for April. Track the lead source back to attribute it back to the first day it came in, and always look at your market and be like, no, that's a November deal. What was I doing in November? And track it back so you can try to replicate where they came from and do it that way on your KPI sheets.
That's smart, because everybody focuses on the month they made the money. Look at the month the lead came in.
Right.
And then from a growing your business, operational standpoint, obviously you have a digital one. What do you recommend, people that are trying to create systems and whatnot in their business, they start doing?
So for systems, I use Trainual, and I still have problems with this because we grew really fast and we're still growing. But for what I've found is have Zoom meetings with your team over Loom meetings a lot. You'll get a lot more out of that. Record them and record things whenever you're explaining it. Record it once and put it into Trainual or wherever you want to store it, so you don't have to train again. And then also, we just started using predictive index when hiring people. Try to put processes in to try to get the right people in the right seats versus bringing people in and then finding out 3 months later. Predictive index is cool because it'll kind of like give you a little bit about their personality and how they're built to see if people are built. Everyone's built for a role, and if you get the right person in the right role for them, they're going to crush it. And the right person in the wrong role, they're not. So try to find out what that role is for that person and put them in the right place to start.
Key, right people in the right seats.
Yep.
So awesome, Brian. Well, where can people find you? Where can they find your company? Like, where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me. It's motivatedleads.com. And we also have, for the newer investors, a Facebook group called Flip Club, like Fight Club, but it's for flippers. you know?
Gotcha. Well, awesome, dude. I appreciate it. And we'll definitely connect about some of this Facebook and some of this other stuff as well.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.